If you love captivating African stories, rich traditions, and dramatic twists, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now, sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of Condemned by Culture, Freed by Truth Part 2. The village of Gandira was no longer the same. After Nyorai's exoneration, many believed justice had prevailed, but the scars of tradition ran deep. Though some celebrated, others whispered in discontent, fearing the changes that had begun. Nyorai, though victorious, found herself restless at night, staring into the flickering fire. The echoes of her near execution still haunted her, and she wondered how many more widows had suffered before her. How many more would suffer if nothing changed? One night, as the crickets sang their songs, her son Tafra found her sitting outside, her face hardened in deep thought. "Mother, will they ever stop doubting you?" he asked. She smiled at him, though weariness clung to her features. "It is not me they doubt, my son. It is change." The next morning, as the village began its daily routines, Nyasha, the young healer and Nyorai's closest ally, rushed into her hut. Her breath was heavy with urgency. "Nyorai, it is happening again. Another widow has been accused." Mweriwa, a woman in her late 30s, had been found crying beside her husband's lifeless body. The village had already decided she was guilty. The council had sentenced her to undergo the widow's trial, the same poison test that had nearly killed Nyorai. Nyorai clenched her fist. She would not let another innocent woman suffer. Not while she still had breath in her lungs. The village elders gathered once more in the great meeting hut, their expressions grim and firm. Chief Gamba sat at the head, flanked by the powerful Elder Zubri, a man whose voice carried weight. He had long profited from the oppression of widows and saw Nyorai as a threat to the old ways. "The trial must proceed," Elder Zubri declared. "The gods demand it." Nyorai stepped forward, her voice steady. "The gods, or the men who fear change. I will not stand by and watch another widow die for crimes she did not commit." A murmur spread through the villagers. Some nodded in agreement, emboldened by Nyorai's words, while others shifted uncomfortably, unwilling to defy tradition. Then, a voice spoke from the shadows. "If you stand against the council, Nyorai, you stand against Gandira itself." She turned sharply. Shomba and Kundai, her old enemies, had returned. Exiled for their crimes, they had now come back, their faces hardened by vengeance. But Nyorai did not falter. If they wanted a war, she was ready. That night, under the cloak of darkness, a sinister meeting took place. Elder Zubri, Shomba, and Kundai gathered beneath the great baobab tree, plotting Nyorai's downfall. Zubri saw her as a disease that needed to be removed, while Shomba and Kundai craved revenge. "She humiliated us," Kundai hissed. "We must silence her before she turns the whole village against us." "Patience," Zubri said, his voice like a snake's whisper. "Let her believe she is winning. And when the time is right, we will strike." The plan was set into motion. Dawn broke over Gandira as the villagers gathered for the widow's trial. Mweriwa, trembling, was forced to her knees. A clay pot containing the lethal potion was placed before her. If she survived drinking it, she would be deemed innocent. If she perished, her guilt would be confirmed. Just as the elders prepared to begin the trial, a commotion erupted. Nyorai and a group of supporters, including Nyasha and Tafra, stormed into the gathering. "This must stop." Nyorai's voice rang out. "We all know this trial does not determine guilt or innocence, it determines who is strong enough to survive poison." The crowd gasped. The elders glared. Elder Zubri stood. "Enough. You seek to destroy our customs. Who are you to challenge the will of the ancestors?" Nyorai met his gaze without fear. "I am a woman who will not allow another innocent soul to die. The ancestors demand justice, not blind obedience." Then a boy's voice rang through the crowd. "She's right. They lied to us." Tafra stepped forward, his young face filled with defiance. "I heard them. Shomba and Kundai, they planned to destroy my mother." The villagers gasped. The tide was turning. Elder Zuberi's face paled. The villagers turned to Chief Gamba, waiting for his judgment. Would he protect tradition or embrace change? The chief rose from his seat. He looked at Nyorai, then at the frightened Mweriwa, and finally at the faces of his people. The widow's trial is no more, he declared. A wave of disbelief rippled through the crowd. Nyorai exhaled, relief washing over her. Nyorai, you have fought bravely, Chief Gamba continued. And though some may resist, Gandera cannot turn away from the truth any longer. We will find a new way. A just way. The village erupted in cheers. The old ways had been broken. Change had come at last. Days later, Nyorai stood at the edge of the village, watching the sunrise. Beside her stood Tafra, Nyasha, and Mweriwa, women who had been saved, women who now held the power to protect others. What now, mother? Tafra asked. Nyorai smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. Now, we build a future where no woman has to fight for her innocence. In the distance, Shamba and Kundai were seen walking away, vanished once more. Elder Zuberi, stripped of his power, was left to watch as his influence crumbled. Justice had won. And for the first time in a long time, Nyorai felt free.